Hi there, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. So, this will be episode 2 on real life scenarios that we're going to discuss related to all of the self care, self love topics that we discussed the past 52 weeks. So, as you can glean from the thumbnail, this is about a one sided friendship. So, first, I want to give you just a definition of what friendship means, right? So, friendship is a close and voluntary bond between people that's built on mutual trust, support, respect, and genuine care for one another. So, this normally involves mutual understanding, right? So, that's where both people or multiple people, whatever the situation is, they're able to empathize and accept each other, all right? And then it's also reciprocity, right? So, not any one sidedness, right? Someone is there sometimes they're not. You sort of flip flop, right? So, the relationship is balanced, in other words. And then you have trust, and then you have loyalty. So, friends can rely on one another without fear of judgment or being accepted, right? And then there's that emotional safety that, your friend is going to care for your feelings, right? They're going to show up as being there for you, and you're able to show up as your authentic self. So for this video, I want to explain a scenario or example. And this may happen with some of you or it has happened in the past. So let's say you've had a long, stressful day, right? Work has been chaotic. A lot of what happened at work felt unfair. And all you want to do is just call your friend and vent, right? Just breathe and release. But the moment that you start talking, your friend interrupts your problems. They start talking about their stress, their issues, and somehow you're back to listening and you still have all of this frustration that's built up from the day that you've had. So let's say you leave or you hang up, however you are communicating, and you end up feeling worse than before, right? So you feel unheard, you feel unseen, and just emotionally empty, right? So how do you handle a situation like this? So the first thing that you do is you want to recognize if there's a pattern, right? Maybe this is a one-off situation where something really jacked up happened to them, and you need to be a friend and listen and just take a step back for a second before they're able to listen to you. But take notice first and observe what is really happening. Is this something that happens frequently, or is this, like I said, just something that just happened that doesn't usually happen? So once it happens once, it's annoying, right? Because you have something that you want to get off your chest. But when it happens often, that is a pattern. So pay attention to who is always listening and who is always talking, right? So recognizing that emotional imbalance is like your first act of self-respect, right? So if you're always the listener and you're never in a conversation, it's more like a counseling session that you didn't sign up for, right? So the second thing to do is to, of course, address the elephant in the room, but with grace, right? You want to speak up, right? You want to speak up, okay? Because you owe it to yourself as just being respectful to yourself to speak up. And you'll speak up gently, and you may say something like, hey, you know what? I really needed to talk tonight. It's been a really heavy day, and I wanted to get something off my chest. Is that okay if I wanted to do that first to just get it off so I can, get your feedback on it? That one sentence right there will set a boundary without setting up for battle, right? So you're letting them know your needs and that they matter, right? And the thing is, you can set boundaries without breaking bonds, right? So make sure that you speak up. And then, as we discussed in the first video about the examples, make sure that you use I statements. I was hoping, I had something I wanted to discuss, because a lot can get lost in in communication, because some people may turn it around and say things like, oh, I didn't know. I thought you were just giving an example of something. No, make sure that you let them know, I need this, right? Speak up in that way. And then third, pay attention, right? Not pay attention, but observe. Watch for that response, but observe calmly, right? Do they pause? Do they listen to you? And do they hold space for you to say, oh, wait a minute, they said something, let me go ahead and take a beat for a second. Or do they brush it off and just keep going? Do they listen and adjust their behavior, or are they like defensive and they try to deflect? Because their reaction will tell you where this friendship actually stands, or if it can even evolve, right? Or is it time to create some distance if this is a pattern, right? So the thing is, if empathy isn't mutual, the connection becomes one-sided, right? And that's not a good feeling for anyone anytime you feel like you're putting more into it than you're getting back, right? So their response will show you whether this is a friendship or a convenience. And real friends will make space for you, not excuses, right? They're going to say, oh, you know what? You got it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I got wrapped up into what I was going through. So depending on the outcome of this, whatever it is, choose peace, right? If you've already spoken up, nothing changes, release that expectation, right? You've tried. The worst thing you want to do is beat a dead horse, right? Move on. Life is short, right? You've already addressed your concern. You gave them some space to go ahead and make adjustments. So you don't owe any continued, you don't owe them any continued access to your emotional energy, especially if this is something that has proven to be a pattern. End the conversation gracefully, but start protecting your peace consistently. You don't have to let them know your plans. Like, I noticed, like, even, I don't know if you guys watch Lifetime. I noticed, like, on Lifetime movies, whenever someone is in trouble, they always tell the person what their plans are. I'm going to call the police. You don't have to tell anyone what you're doing. Everyone doesn't need to know exactly what is in your repertoire as defense. They don't need to know that. Once you complete the action, they'll find out you don't owe them that, right? Just make sure that you're doing whatever you need to do to protect your peace, right? You can still care for somebody while creating distance, all right? So make sure that any friendship that you're in, it should be like a give and take kind of thing, right? It shouldn't be all one-sided, because everyone needs to be seen and heard, right? Some people just want silence, and that's okay. Give the person what they need. If you care about that person, give them what they need. So this has been your video on having a one-sided friendship. Hopefully you guys are not in a one-sided friendship. If you are, time to make some adjustments so you can go ahead and deposit into yourself what you need, and then, have a community of people that are going to do the same. All right. So I hope this video has resonated with someone. Maybe you know someone that does this. Hopefully you're not the person that's doing this, but otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday and a great rest of your week. Take care and be well.